Cheers.
Cheers. To bottle expected.
To industry.
The other side of bottle shock, fellas. Welcome back for another week. You got yours recording over there, Brendan?
Yeah, we're on.
Wonderful stuff. Well, not only are we drinking some very lovely Chardonnay from New Zealand that, shit hot.
Mm-hmm. That is really good.
Yeah.
Oxygen is very helpful for this wine.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's just really opened up on the palate since we tasted it.
Yeah.
So what, that's been about
2 hours, 3 hours?
3 hours since we had it for the blind tastings, which you...
Something like that.
Yeah, depending on the order of the release, you might
Well,
have seen us
I
talk
tasted it about
already.
like 9:15.
It's been open for several hours.
7 hours. 6 hours.
Not only are we drinking some very fine wines that we've had on the tastings today, we're doing another episode where we are answering the questions that people have given us when we've gone, hey, we're doing an AMA podcast.
Yep.
Who wants to be involved? Because
Discord, man. Discord lit it up.
Discord stepping up, and the reaction to the last time we did one of these was pretty strong. So thank you so much
100%.
for
like the best podcast thing we've done.
Easily.
So it was awesome to see. So yeah, we'll do this regularly.
As you said, Noah, who would have thought community engagement working well? Crazy stuff. So we've got, I don't know, probably 12 or 13 questions that we'll run through here.
Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see how we go for timing. But the first one, a bit of a softball to start out with, from at Callum Nash 2602. Callum. He asks, who is your most underrated / rising star Aussie producer? All right. Who is your most underrated or rising star Aussie producer?
I think that Jordan Hine at Moorak is slept on so intensely.
Yeah.
I think those wines, I have a good following by a bunch of people, but I just don't think people talk about them at the class that they have. I think these are all amazing wines. I love what he's doing with sparkling. He's one of the dudes that I'm particularly excited for. His wines are too cheap.
What are they coming in at? Roughly?
Like retail between $30 and $50.
Yeah, right.
Like so the sweet spot, but they like a lot of these wines are like over deliver, particularly the sparklings, which were upon first release was like $45, and are just insanely good for what they are. So I think he's the one for me that I'm like. He's been doing it for a while, maybe 5 or 6 vintages in, but I just don't think he gets enough credit. I think he's so good.
For sure. Brendo, you got one that springs
one at the
to
top of
mind
my
for you?
pile, but we just did a Young Guns, like an Aussie Young Guns tasting today.
Yeah.
And it is quite remarkable because we occasionally do this, and like the caliber
of
the quality is insane. But the top of the pile for me would be Marco Lubiana.
Marco Lubiana.
Like his wines are just like he came out of the gate swinging so hard that it's like he's an 80-year-old seasoned veteran, and like he's got pedigree to back him up.
It's in the veins, yeah.
But his approach is good, and his head is right, and the wines are stunning, and they really do. And we even went down to the winery and reaffirmed my opinion that he's like in terms of young gun rising star. I'd be backing Marco.
So it's self-named label. What's his wines called? Yeah,
Marco Lubiana.
Lubiana.
Yeah, gorgeous labels with like wildflowers all on the front.
Yeah.
Just really beautiful packaging.
Nice one. I'd have to give a shout out to Small Island that we had earlier today as well, because you were saying that that's something that people don't know that much about, but Tassie Pinot, I think that's
that was the winner of the Young Guns bracket.
Yeah. And it was like for $49, that's criminal. How good value that is.
Really
in
good
terms
value.
of just the world of Pinot, let alone Tassie Pinot.
And one that, look, as is always the case with these, I'm not as tapped into the up-and-comers of the world. A wine that I've really enjoyed lately that I imagine people don't know that much about because it's pretty new is the Don't Tell Mum Gang.
Those wines are really fun.
Molly Ducker. Yeah. For me, it's a fun brand because their whole thing is surrounding the sort of wines that you should be drinking when you're sitting around telling stories that you don't want to tell your parents, essentially.
Yeah.
So that's fun. It's also the legacy of, taking the sort of style of Molly Ducker and then making it for this younger group.
The wines are super tasty for under $30.
One's super tasty, under $30, and they make a sparkling Shiraz, which is always a big win in my books.
Yeah, so that one.
Yeah, so I suppose Small Island and then Don't Tell Mum would be...
I mean, we could rattle off heaps. Like, that Tilly J wines are awesome.
Tilly J were very impressive.
What Sentio's doing is awesome.
Yeah.
Setiono as well with Sam Chandra and the Barossa. Really exciting stuff. I just tasted pre-release of her upcoming Riesling, which is incredible. Like, there's a whole bunch of great wines, young wine producers.
Yeah, you got anyone else you want to shout out, Brendo?
Agricola.
Yep.
Yeah, his stuff's always really good, especially if you're into like the classics from Barossa. Riley Harrison is another one that I'm a massive fan of.
100%.
Very, very talented. But yeah, like, no, we could continue to rattle them off. But kind of all the young guns, the caliber is just like, even reflecting back on when I was starting, where there was, again, there's always a group of young guns.
Yeah.
I think if like we pitched my generation of young guns against this generation, we would get whooped. Like the caliber is so high.
Yeah, 100%.
People know how to make good quality wine now, and I think now they're getting good quality.
They learned from like your generation's mistakes.
Yeah,
100%.
You can only compare.
100%.
You can only compare within generations. It's that old thing of like Wilt Chamberlain was playing against plumbers back in the day, but like he's still the greatest of his time. So it's not taking anything away from the previous generation.
But I would have so much confidence now buying like a complete unknown young gun wine brand. Like so much confidence, and I'm going to get good value, especially after the lineup that we had today. That was just everything under $50 for the most part.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah, 30 to
$50.
50, the sweet spot.
Yeah, 30 to 50.
So good.
Jesus, they were good.
Lovely spot. Well, yeah, Callum, there's a couple of them for you to look out for. But yeah, there's plenty of young guns in Australia these days. At Deck.
What's up, dude?
This is going the other direction now. Rather than a bit of positivity, let's do a bit of negativity.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's do it. We love cynicism. How good.
What is the most disappointing bottle everyone has drunk?
Oh, dude, that sparkling Cos. Do you remember that?
Sparkling Cos.
That was yeah. So Cos, which is this like hype winery.
Remember where we did it
together.
We're at Unico Go back in those days. We stayed late and we did a live stream of us playing
Mario Kart.
Like Cooking Mama.
Oh, that's right. No, it's the Cook.
Overcooked.
Yeah.
That was very good.
And we bought a bottle of Cos Frappato to drink while we did that.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh, Cos do a sparkling Frappato, which is like exciting because Cos is that kind of like culty producer. And it's Frappato, which we love.
Yep.
It's like, great, let's give it a crack. And then we opened it and it was immediately the room was the most mousy fucking thing.
It's horrible.
It was
It
awful.
was really bad.
Awful wine. It was terrible. Speaking another sparkling, I went to Singapore last year and was hanging out with our importer there. He was in a champagne mood, so I bought a bottle of champagne. Vouet Sorbet. This is with my own money, not the company money. By the way, it was expensive.
Good things to throw in there.
It was expensive. I was expecting to get looked after when I paid for it because it was at the bar, and I didn't get as looked after as I'd hoped.
Hate that so much.
And it was Vouet Sorbet, like really high end champagne. It was great. And like, you know, I hadn't tried any before, so fuck it, I'll give it a crack. Again, mousy, like mousy grower champagne.
That's tough,
it's like,
dude.
it was fucking brutal. Like, set me back about like $350 Australian, which really fucking hurt.
Yeah, that stings.
Yeah, that really hurt.
Trousseau ones that still sticks out. Like the worst ones do stick out in my mind, and it's like this Trousseau from Domaine Loc Tavan, which is a cult natty producer that I actually don't think it could have been worse. There was everything wrong with it, and I wanted to champion it. That there was mousiness, there was VA, it was had re-ferment, it was hazy, and I mean like milky white in haze. It was really weird.
Not ideal.
There was just literally everything that could go wrong did go wrong.
0 points, James Halliday.
It should have been pulled from the market. It would have been like above the limit of like, say, acceptable VA in Australian wine. Like, we would not be able to bottle that.
That's tricky. I think most disappointing bottle of wine that I've bought actually had nothing to do with the wine. It was probably, I don't know, 2 years ago. I was out on a first date and we were talking about how like, oh, you do wine YouTube and things like that. And I was just like, yeah, I do a bit of wine YouTube stuff. You know, this sort of
You know
thing.
how it is.
Yeah, so it was like, here, allow me to take the, I'll take the ordering off your hands. What do you like? Okay, this, that, and the other. And I ordered this bottle of Grenache, which I really thought was going to be this perfect little lights, medium, just perfect for the context. She hated it. And that was really unfortunate. Like, it was just too heavy. Like, I thought it was going to go the other way.
Oh, no.
And yeah,
Was it Barossa?
It might have been Barossa. I don't know, man. Like, again, this is
Always a danger game.
Yeah, dangerous game to play. And I think, yeah, that's the other. Oh, the other disappointing one is, I told you the story about when I went over to, I've been out pouring some tastings for Unico, and I had about 6 or 7 different bottles of ours open. And I thought I was doing the really nice thing of dropping into mum and dad's place to be like, hey guys, do you want to like, have a look at these, and whichever one you like the most, I'll grab a case of it and get all the way through. And Dad genuinely tasted through 7 of our wines.
Just
and
hated
I
them.
told me, don't fucking bother getting them for him until he got to Delta Blue. So he got a case of Delta Blue. So
there we go. Now
that's why it's the ultimate dad wine. Yeah, so yeah, they're probably the disappointing ones. But yeah, I don't really have the I don't have the preconceived notion of what something should be. So then when I order it, it doesn't meet expectations.
Yes,
because every time I'm still rolling the dice every time I buy a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just going on what I know. But yeah, that mousy thing when we were playing Mario Kart did really, in that small room as well.
Like, bubbles are this weird delivery vehicle for mouse, and I just don't understand.
It was aggressive.
It was really aggressive.
I remember
really bad.
it opening, and we immediately smelt it. It wasn't even before it got in the glass. We were like, "Whoa, this is fucked."
Yeah,
yeah,
man,
it was bad. That stuck in my brain too.
Tough stuff. Well, yeah, Deck. Maybe avoid those, but also, it could just be a bad bottle.
No, he's got good. We know Declan's got good taste.
Yeah, good taste. Next one up, we've got Mr. Plant. Plant with a 4. G'day, mate. How you going?
It's good name.
What is
Plant 4?
Plant 4.
Real, local.
What is the process in creating a new wine? Are you inspired by something you drank? Do you follow trends? Do you get great fruit that makes you want to try something new? So I suppose, we'll go around you two first.
I mean, the answer is yes to all of those.
Yeah.
To a certain degree.
The trends thing's a bit weird. Like it depends what you call a trend. Like, yes, in theory, yes, where like you do a light body thing and you could be like, you're just following the light body trend. But
I suppose the two examples that spring to mind to me of some, like, you've always said that we're market makers rather than market takers at Unico. But the seafoam and origami was more of a customers going, hey, why don't you make a pet nat? Why don't you make a rosé? So sort of responding to...
And then what do we do with seafoam ultimately is discontinue it, and then origami has been decreased in production quite significantly.
Yeah, but it had a good run there.
The
problem with the origami is different. It was the market expectation of that category was different than the product we were providing. As soon as we've shifted the product style, the sales have gone back up.
Yeah.
So there it is. Like, so there is differences. Seafoam, that product was working fantastically until that that whole category has really shifted, and then also the cost of production was just got too high, and we couldn't offer the price point to remain competitive.
Where has that cost in production increase come from?
Packaging and the fact that we don't have the bottling facilities to be able to actually do the second tirage reliably.
Yeah, we have to send it off to be bottled to be bottled, carbonated safely, and that cost has just gone up and up and up.
Yeah.
But then I suppose at the other end of the spectrum, like where Esoterico is like a wine that
no one asked for.
No one asked for.
Same thing with Fresh AF. So like the best wines, like the best, if you want like the most recent example of let's make a wine, it's the Tarango.
Yes, absolutely.
And we're about to go and do one in like a month in Mexico.
Yes.
Like that's, no one's asking for those wines at all.
Yeah, there's some like Tarango for me is we're inspired to make that wine because there's an incredible story attached to that grape itself.
And I think that really gets to the crux of where we're pretty good at what we do. And you could call it like and I've called it before plenty of times, market making, but I think it's probably more better like the difference fundamentally between something like DRC and everything else is mostly story, because in terms of like, and there's scarcity, there's all these other elements, but I think we place way too much weight on scarcity and not enough weight on story. Like, because if it was about scarcity, then grain should be like $10 a bottle. Like
they do make a fair bit of grain.
Yeah, make a lot of grain, but really, really compelling story.
It is,
and they're really good storytellers, and they tell it incredibly well, and that's how they can secure the price point. And so I do see like a lot of people who are like, say Shaw and Smith's doing very well, we're going to do a Shaw and Smith type thing, but we're going to do it at $10 cheaper, and that's going to mean that we're better value for the customers. And I'm like, that's legitimate, there's nothing wrong with that. But I just think it would be better if you start with the story and work backwards.
The originality.
There's people that work in short term and long term. If you want to make a new classic, like, you have to come up with a different concept. If you want to make a quick high quality wine that works in the market, that's how you do it. And that's why what we're seeing with a lot of Chardonnay and Pinot producers. Like, that's the in demand style, and there's a lot of great stories being told around vineyards and site specific like things, and the cream really rises in that aspect. And then there's this middling tier where it's just like, we just produce single vineyard wines of Thingo and Pinot and Chardonnay and things like that. It's like, well, we had similar stories like that through the 80s and 90s, and a lot of those brands don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, what's your unique proposition? USP, unique like value proposition.
Yeah. Add something meaningful to the world of wine. Like no one bought Esoterico for the first couple of years, as well as Fresh AF as well.
Yeah.
And we had to tinker with the name of Fresh AF to even get it to get across the line with people.
What was it called originally?
The River.
The River. Yeah,
Fresh AF.
Fresh AF's a selling point on that one.
Yeah, much better.
It just does what it says on the tin.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other one recently would be, say, pollen. No one is asking for Gewürztraminer.
No, not
In fact, it's like a joke.
not in its pure form. No.
Not in the way. And look, arguably, it has been both a success and a failure. We went too hard on the quantity, and now we're sitting on a bit of quantity there. But if you tallied up, like,
We got 60 cases left. We're doing pretty
good.
We're almost there.
But in
Doing
terms
alright.
of like selling that amount of wine as a complete first off, I would call it a success. Like it's, I mean, 6 or 7 ton, was it? Of like 6-7.
We made about 800 cases, and it took so about 400 cases a year. What's been really interesting in that particular wine is that we've had successes. Domestically, it's not very successful. There's been some areas where it's been good. We've found a good couple of placements for it, like working with Asiatic restaurants. So like it's been on by the glass at China Doll in Sydney. So like great places like that.
Yeah.
Chin Chin's bought some. That narrative we're trying to tell works, but that narrative has really been adopted by Southeast Asia, where we're selling a plenty in Taiwan and China and Vietnam, and like it works in that particular market. So there is a success story. They're very small markets, so they're not buying much. But if we're making enough to supply that area a little bit domestically for local distributor needs, and a little bit to the States and other places, if we're controlling production, we're doing a really good thing with that particular wine.
Yeah, and then outside of the normal Unico SKUs, we also end up having cellar hand wines each year, which is they're always really fun projects because it's handing the keys of the winery over to. Well, it's been all sorts of people in the time that I've been here. I know that like Juana, the bar manager, got the opportunity to make a wine at one point, I believe, and that I suppose
Distillers have made wine. You haven't done a cellar hand wine. You've done other wines though.
No, I know. I've done other wines. I had to buy fruit to make my first wine here, which is funny.
buying champagne when you're overseas, you're buying fruit, mate. Loosen the strings on that card, mate.
No. Well, we did the Funkworks stuff. So we did the Skin Contact Fiano, and then Chackley Fiano. Then we did the Piquet, which is probably I brought the idea, and that worked. And then we did Magic 38, which is probably the real that I actually got to did that go to work.
Of course,
really,
get Magic 38.
That was my kind of thing. It's like so a Tarvel Rosé from some thingo.
Super fun wine. So yeah, I suppose Mr. Plant, in response to your question, as Noah said at the start,
yes to all of them.
Yes, it's succinctly at the start.
And there's like things like Unico's morphed into something else, and we go like we should be working with X variety, or we should totally make something like that. Which is like we've made this story, and now it's kind of the whole beast has got a mind of its own. It's like why don't we do a skin contact Greco? It's like that makes so much sense. We're specialized in Fiano. It's the second companion variety. So things like that kind of end up popping up.
Yeah, why don't we barrel age this Fiano and then Birdwood comes out of that and things along those lines. So I suppose you've sort of got your the core wines that are at the center of the winery that we're always going to have Jade and Jasper going. Jade and Jasper is a bit of a flagship in terms of, hey, we believe Australian Fiano is good. This is a price point that everyone can get access to it. Here's a good example of it. And then you start telling the stories of different regions with, single vineyard Fianos. And then on the outside, that's where we play around with your Tarangos, Magic 38s, all of that fun sort of stuff. So, quite a few different reasons, actually. And then sometimes, admittedly, like the change that happened in Pastafarian while I've been here, where that went from being a blend to being a single vineyard Sangiovese.
Nebbiolo blend Sangiovese. Like we've sold 500 cases of Pastafarian in 6 months. Through because of the change to Sangiovese, and it's like again we found we had to kind of it's the same with the Fresh AF story. It's like a couple of attacks at a couple of bites of the apple to get the juice.
We're like acutely aware of having false positives or like self-fulfilling prophecy wines where like we're low confident, so therefore it doesn't work. And then you've got Then you've got the higher confidence, wines and mentally work. You're like, yeah, it's because we're all really confident and love the wine. Like, what happens when the wine doesn't look so good?
Yeah.
Do we give it another year with the same variety? Do we tinker with it? Like, there is a weird thing with some wines where we just feel it. Where we're just like, this feels right. This is a good, like, Pastafarian was always like, when the name came up, then we had Hannah who did the design for it, and we saw the thing, we're like, this is a winner. This is a very good wine.
And then Nebbiolo was really good, but then the fruit we couldn't get consistent supply.
Yeah.
And then we did the blend and we made a lot of it, and then the narrative kind of got lost in the story. It's like, why do I spend $3 more for this product and I do Truffle Hound when it's also a blend of similar varieties?
It's really similar.
Correct.
It's like, shit. Okay, we've kind of cooked that. It's like, what's something different that we can do where we get consistency? We worked with that Sangiovese vineyard for a long time, and it's got decent volume as well. And now we're working with a lot of Sangiovese, both for rosé, for origami. Now it's 100% Sangiovese, and then we've got Sangiovese for Pastafarian, and both wines are way better because of it.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like, okay, cool. Like,
They evolve over time. It's the thing about vintage. Like, you get one crack at it each year, and then you come back next year with the learnings that you've got from the past and continue iterating on it.
Yeah, sometimes you get so hyped of a product in the cellar, it's like, we're going to go out to market with this thing, and it's going to fucking crunch.
Yeah.
And you get to market, and it's like,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, great. Okay, let's keep pushing. And then we go, okay, maybe not.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the business. Thanks, Mr. Plant. That's a fun question. Next up, at Blurds. G'day, Blurds. You're in France. You're in a wine shop. You got 20 euros.
Wow.
You want sparkling wine. Do you go Cremant or Champagne?
Come on.
Bang, straight up.
Yeah.
Cremant de Bourgogne, Cremant of anywhere.
Cremant de
Really.
Loire, Cremant de Jura,
Yeah, absolutely.
Cremant de Savoie, whatever.
Yeah, you go Cremant. You go
Sparkling Jacquet.
Yeah.
So, as someone who's only just figured out that they can correctly identify Burgundy, what's Cremant?
Sparkling.
Sparkling. So it's just...
Yeah.
So it's
Basically,
sparkling from not champagne. But
yeah,
in France.
exactly.
Yeah,
It's
and made we're using the champagne method as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And where they are scented, they will typically utilize the varieties of that area. So in the terms of, like, the one that most people jump to is Cremant de Bourgogne, because it's from Burgundy. Burgundy grows all the same grape varieties.
Yeah.
For the most part, is champagne. And then within Cremant de Bourgogne, there are brands that go above and beyond the typical AOC to really start to create higher quality Cremant de Bourgogne. Recently, though, I've been trying a lot of Sect. And Sect, which is the German sort of sparkling. We don't really get a lot in Australia. Very
Sparkling
impressive.
Riesling. Yeah.
Sparkling Riesling.
Yeah, the only stuff you see in Australia is cheap and shit
Yeah.
at Dan Murphy's because they have that category for
Henkel. Yeah,
whatever reason.
crappy
It's
stuff.
terrible.
But you can also get, like, sparkling Chardonnay, sparkling Pinot as well, like, depending on where you are in Germany, but, like, really high quality as well. Like, really impressive for no money.
And the reason that you've instantly both gone Cremant is, are you paying a bit of a champagne tax?
Yeah,
So you're like,
100%.
Yeah.
So in terms of quality in the glass, you're going to end up with better bang for your buck at 20 euros.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Where on that sliding scale of money out of your pocket do you go from drinking Cremant to champagne? Or would you just
I'd say 50.
50 euros?
50 euro, you could buy, so you'd be able to buy some dank champers.
Like, I think as soon as growers enter the chat.
Well, surely that'd be about 50 euros.
Sure,
So that's
about
100
€50
bucks here in Aussie.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they're the equivalent to be about 50 euros.
As soon as growers enter the chat, then that's where I'm looking. Like, 100%. Yeah.
And growers champagne is referring to the fact that the people who are running the vineyards are the people
Yeah, they
making...
call it a recoltant manipulant, or an RM, where they are growing and making the champagne all together.
Yeah, so it's the hands in the glove the whole way through. It's not 100%. Being sent from one place to another.
Yeah, that's where I'd trip. But, like, that said, it's sort of 60. If there was like a Cremant de Bourgogne that was like 60, 70 euro, I'm gonna be curious. I want to know.
Yeah, that is.
I want to know what
yeah.
super Cremant de Bourgogne looks like.
it's-
Like, I want to know.
Yeah, that's the Le Grand Dun of fucking Cremant.
It's like,
Bourgogne.
12
That's
years
so
on
good.
lease or something like
Yeah,
that. Like,
where's the justification of that price? Oh, I've got to find out.
yeah.
I don't
right.
know what that is. Yeah, there's that. It does get into the world of, like, there's, lying about wines, not lying, fraud essentially, where you just slap a really high price on a wine, label it really nicely, and
No, it's called Reserva. Yeah, it's called Reserva.
Yeah.
It's called let's just create another tier of this is the Reserva line. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, there you go. Cremant until we get up to about the 50, 60 euro mark. But then again, if you see a Cremant for €60, well, let us know how it is.
Yeah.
And let us know why. All right. At Rarebits 9384. G'day, Rarebit.
Welsh.
Rabbit. Leaving aside marketing and sales, so we're out of the chat. What varieties should work best for box/mass market wines in Australia?
Okay. Yeah.
It's built on the cheap Pinot thing, I reckon. That's a really cool.
Yeah, okay.
Instead of Riverland Pinot Gris, should it be Riverland Grillo, Touriga instead of Shiraz, etc.?
You got to really think about what the customer wants from a boxed wine. I think, going forward, you're looking for medium-bodied reds and then kind of aromatic textural whites. I think that's where the majority of the market is really drinking at a baseline, and that's based on the sales of what people are based on Chardonnay's resurgence, and in the red verse we're moving away from Shiraz more towards Pinot and Grenache and things like that. So, and if you're going to do it effectively and cheaply, you're going to have to work with the inland regions where it's hot consistently, is low disease pressure, it's easy to farm, so you got to work with Riverland. And then, so naturally red, I think Grenache is the answer. That is the total answer, because it crops well, it's drought resistant, it's heat resistant, it does all the things. I think Grenache works. Nero works as well. I think it probably that suits the Australian palate maybe a little bit more so, but the Australian drinker would just buy Grenache over Nero because of that's the marketing and sales thing. Yeah. So I have to take that out of it. Fuck you.
Well, it's like you see these guys that have come out with say cheap Pinot, which is the marketing sales. The only reason they're doing cheap Pinot is because it's Pinot.
Yeah.
And they're trying to undercut everything.
Yeah.
But and I think it was sort of lost a little bit on some viewers on that video, which I think was a really crucial point that you made, which is Pinot just doesn't have, biologically, it's just not set up for it. It's thin-skinned, it's early budding, it's late ripening, and it really wants to drop its yield below 4 tons per hectare. So if you were to reverse engineer what would be a mass market wine with the least amount of impact onto the environment and land, you reverse that. You want something that's thick-skinned, hardy as fuck, because you're probably not going to revisit that vine with a tractor for a while. So it needs to be pretty hardy. You want big ass bunches, efficiency for picking. Yeah, you want it to be naturally higher yielding and isohydric, because you're right, you're going to eventually end up having to use flat inland area that's cheap to farm, and if it's isohydric, that at least the water use of that vine is going to be minimal.
Which is
it holds onto its water, it closes the stomata, and responds. The vine itself responds to water stress in a very efficient manner.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you would ideally have just because it's just good money, is the shortest growing cycle possible, because that would limit the amount of potential disease impact that would happen. We've got growers that are so incentivized at the moment to knock. They're committing to biodynamics, not because it's cool and fun, but because they know that adding extra carbon in their soil will bring forward their picking date by a week, which is the most critical week, is the last week, right?
Yeah.
That's when it all could go fucking south.
Yeah, before the barley flights get too expensive.
Yeah. So I think and this is part of the reason why we look at things very novel, but Tarango in Australia, this Australian-made grape variety, is, I would argue, is everyone should be drinking Tarango in a box. It is so perfect for that one individual purpose.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever going to make high quality wine. Not that it can't, but it's just your colder, wetter regions are much more suited to be able to produce grapes like Pinot. That can handle the longer ripening period. They're not going to get cooked on the vine. Yeah, you're going to get some downy pressure. You're going to get disease pressure, but you're going to have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And that's what results in good Pinot being more expensive and cheaper wines being... Grenache is a great shout. I'd probably opt for, if you could find something thicker skinned, Tempranillo is not bad, and that's why Tempranillo populates a lot of cheap wine in Spain.
Montepulciano
is a great shout.
And when I speaking
Nero's
to
a great
punters,
shout.
speaking of punters, Montepulciano, there's such a love for that grape variety, which I don't understand.
It's fun to say.
No, neither.
I don't understand Montepulciano.
Montepulciano.
Yeah, but yeah, it is the most fun grape variety to say, and you lean into a Montepulciano. It's great. If you it makes you feel like a soprano. It is great. So a Montepulciano, like those kind of like Mediterranean reds, I think make sense. And then white wines, it's probably like Fiano makes a lot of sense. Even like stylistically,
Fiano doesn't crop high though. That's one thing. Like
it's
Vermentino
medium
probably
cropping.
makes like Vermentino can crop high. Fucking I'll tell you what, Glera.
Yeah, just dry Glera. Yeah,
I know it sounds weird, but like it crops really high, and it's thick-skinned.
Fucking whatchamacallit? Trebbiano.
Trebbiano.
Trebbiano would probably be the one.
100%.
And that's why it's the most planted white grape in Italy.
The most inoffensive grape variety you can plant with like 30 tons per hectare, like no water use.
And can handle the heat.
Bianco d'Alessano as well, we've seen success with here in Australia.
Yeah, they're like Sangiovese, like you're looking at Italy, who basically have figured out this model. It's like we make large volumes of cheap wine for the masses, and for the white wine it's Trebbiano, and for the red wine it's Sangiovese. We just don't have, we can't warm inland regions in Australia can't support Sangiovese. Like we've seen the
It's not as like. Sangiovese is built for warm, but not that kind of warm.
Yeah, it's like whoa, turn it down. Yeah, it's
Arid.
it's a bit wild. So yeah, Sangiovese great, but I think that's more moderate climates.
Potentially not going to work in the inland stuff.
Yeah,
interesting.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that we'd be solving the what we should be making in boxed wine scenario? The Unico guys really pushing the boxed wine market forward and forward.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. At Sip Sage, classic question. This one.
Good
pick one person, dead or alive, that you would love to share a bottle with. And the wine you'd pick, of course.
My dad. No.
Okay.
And the bottle.
What would I do?
One person,
dead or
alive, that you'd like
there's a
to
bunch.
have.
And I don't want to give like a cop-out answer either. Like my wife and like,
Someone
99
someone you
Legrand.
actually can't do that with.
Yeah.
I would also choose Brendan's dad. No.
You wouldn't want his wine though. Like,
No.
Yeah.
my dad's pretty fun to drink with, I'll be honest.
sorry.
He's like your dad, really fun to
He's
drink
fun
with.
to drink
Yeah.
Who would be an interesting person to sit down with? Imagine sitting down with like Max Schubert and showing him like modern Penfolds wines.
What have you done to my boy? You massacred my boy.
That would actually be really funny, having like sitting down with Max Schubert and being like, so what I've got here is the Penfolds Chinese winemaking trial.
Yeah, right.
That'd be a very
That is
interesting way
pretty
to go
funny.
about it. I think that I reckon sharing a bottle of sharing a bottle of that Louis Roger, the really expensive,
The Cristal.
Cristal champagne with Shane Warne would be.
Warnie was really running through my head because he's got yarns.
He'd have yarns.
He's got yarns.
And I reckon he'd be a good time to drink with. Again, we're talking circa 2008, probably more so than.
Yeah, like currently.
Well, not currently, but even lately.
I got a couple. The one from the heart.
Yeah.
There's one from the head. There's one from the heart, and there's one from the loins.
Okay.
Okay, can I answer it this way?
Yeah, right.
go
Okay. One from the heart is Stephen Spurrier.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That would be really interesting.
He has actually tasted our wine. He tasted Fresh AF, and
That's hilarious.
At a tasting that Berkman organised. It was like their sort of annual tasting in the UK. I was like, fucking, that's that guy. That is the guy from Bottle Shock, the movie. And he was like, yep, that's everything Australian wine should be. And he moved on. That's all he ever said to me. He passed away. And I would just love to have sat him down now.
Huge.
And it stuck out. I remember the rep at the time. He doesn't work for the distributor anymore, but he looked at me and he was like, how does that make you feel? And I'm like, I'm fucking weak at the knees. This is insane,
Shoot me
dude.
in the head, it doesn't get better.
Yeah. The one from the head is Michael Broadbent, probably one of the most, if not the most, prolific wine taster and auctioneer ever. And he's like, he auctioned off like 1700s Madeiras, and he's seen it all, and sitting down with him and talking to him about where wine's going because he's seen it all.
Yeah. And
then one from the loins is Rudy Kernawan. I would love to do a blind tasting of whatever Rudy wants to show me. Rudy Kernawan was the guy that got put in jail. For basically, he's a master forger of wines.
Cool.
And there's a whole book written about this called Billionaires Vinegar, where he was taken by the Koch brothers, who was outrageously wealthy billionaire people in the US, because he sold at auction. He seemingly had this talent of finding these wines at like old estates, and he's like, these were the Thomas Jefferson bottles. Jefferson was known for like collecting a lot of wine, particularly Bordeaux, and sold like with Thomas Jefferson like etched in the bottle. And this guy spent, it was like the most expensive wine ever sold at that time, and it was fake. It was completely fake. And Rudy is from Indonesia. He's still around. Went to jail for a lot of time. It was like 10, 15, 20 years. And then now he's out.
Cool.
And what he's doing now is very funny. So sycophant, like millionaire billionaires who are into wine are employing Rudy to throw them a dinner and basically like try to fake it. Like try to like put wines in front of me that I won't know, and I need to try to guess. And like Rudy's getting paid like 80 grand for dinners because he is the world's master forger.
That's fun. So like,
It's pretty
slip
good.
one real bottle in and then spot the donkey in the thoroughbred sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's a funny idea.
Yeah, like he was getting wine from like the 70s, 60s, 50s, figuring out how to prematurely age them, and then saying they're from like the late 1800s. But he was like mimicking finding the exact bottles. Like he would find at auction the exact bottles, and he would be like finding old corks, you know, developing the tech to recondition them. And
Certain
like
form of
really,
artistry, really
quite impressive.
Yeah. No, you got anyone that springs?
I've got
to mind?
I can't. It's hard to pick. Like Elvis Costello, I'd love, because I love his music so much, and he's had a very interesting long life. You know, he'd be fucking cool to talk to. Conan O'Brien would be another one, because he's a good chat, a good time, but he's also interested in like, you know, interesting things, like, you know, he's a big like Civil War, like, you know, history buff as well.
For sure.
Alongside a good chat. Bob Murphy, just because Bob Murphy, drink something from 2016 would be good. Drinking
That'd
well
be
right
fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Probably those are probably the three off the top of the dome.
Very reasonable.
What are yours?
I'm going. I mean, like, to be honest, Hamish Blake is someone that I've just always wanted.
Loves a drink too, man. Loves some wine.
Yeah, also loves having a little whiskey while he's making his kids' birthday cakes.
Good.
Yeah,
good
I'd be
content.
thrilled
Great
to ever
fucking
sit down with
content.
him. I don't care what we drink. We can drink whatever we want. I just want to talk to Hamish at some point in my life.
If anyone on the podcast knows Hamish Blake,
Stop it.
tag him in this.
Stop it.
Just relentlessly tag him in this.
Nah, I don't want to meet him that way. I want it to be natural and beautiful. I want him to want to meet me at some point. And I don't know how that happens, but I was
one day,
talking.
maybe.
I was talking to someone at the Fringe a couple of years ago who did have a connection to him, and I was like, I don't want to ask you to introduce me to him because I don't want it to be like a forced thing. I just want to because I was talking to them about it, and they were like, Hamish is exactly who everyone who is a fan of him wants him to be, in the sense that like he is so like he is the way that he is all the time, and if you did run into him as a fan, he'd give you the time of day and stuff like that. Anyway, drinking any sort of dad wine with Hamish would be fun. Other than that, who would be really interesting? I reckon drinking some recently recovered French champagne after World War II with Winston Churchill would be a hell of a time.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
You could drink
So
Winston Churchill with Winston Churchill.
There you go.
That would be cool.
That'd be a one. I don't know if that's me time traveling back there or him coming forwards, or I don't know what that is.
There would definitely be cigars there. Churchill cigars.
Churchill martinis.
But yeah,
Turns out
That's a good answer.
that is good.
Churchill's Churchill. At Deegs. G'day, Deegs.
Deegs back.
With bushfires becoming increasingly common in wine-producing regions throughout the world, how is the industry adapting to the risks of smoke taint?
This was this week. Did you see the update this week? The Daily News stuff?
I did not remember it.
So there's a sensor now. You can buy these sensors that you can put in your vineyard that tell you basically whether or not you're getting the precursors to smoke taint. So if there is smoke, it's really interesting. Talking about like bushfires. When I was in South Africa, the sort of like in Swartland, where it's surrounded by just farming land, they don't really, because like basically everyone's pretty poor out there, especially farming people. They clear fields just by burning. Okay. And so I was there at harvest. They were harvesting when I was there in February. And there's just literally next to Artie Badenhorst's, they just lit a field on fire, and the smoke is just sitting really low, and I'm looking at terrified. Yeah. I was like, how are you not having an issue with this? And he's like, this happens every year. And so like suddenly I'm like, this is why Smaller wine sometimes tastes this way. Like maybe you should think about this. But no, there's now sensors that you can get. I think that's how the industry's sort of tackling it.
But yeah. Like, so you've got a sensor that says, hey, guess what? You're getting smoke taint. Now you just know that. Like,
no, well, you've got the, I mean, you could put big fans up, I suppose, but not a hell of a lot. Like prevention's like not having the bushfire in the first place. Yeah. And so I think more work's being done on the management of just ensuring we don't have bushfires. Like here, the big ones that we had were largely from the fact that we have this sort of funny relationship with backburning. And we have the build-up of fuel. Yeah. And so you backburn during the winter months. And so you go and do like actual burns. People light the countryside on fire. And that just does what they call cold fires, which just clears a lot of that old stuff.
It's funny. Like, one of my friends worked on a documentary in Kangaroo Island after massive Kangaroo Island fires. And like they were interviewing all the locals and, talking about, the domestic people that look after bushland areas and particularly national parks, and they're called parks and wildlife.
Not parks, parks and wildlife.
Yeah, and then all the colloquial people's like, oh, you mean sparks and wildfires? Like they don't do shit. So it's like, and now since those bushfires, that massive bushfire, sparks and wildfires is pretty funny. But yeah, since those bushfires, there has been a lot more investment in preventative work, and that is the real kicker. Fix. That's where the investment needs to go, is to land management to prevent energy, because like we're not doing anything to the climate to that kind of prevention's not happening. No, at an aggressive rate. So like, there has to be some better land management.
I'd imagine that there is absolutely nothing you can do in the winery once you've got smoke taint into fruit.
Possibly the AWRI, which is our sort of peak, like it's the UC Davis of Australia, has done like a lot of work. In fact, the lady who taught me winemaking enology 101, she was actually spearheading all the research, and she was looking into like adjuncts and stuff like that. There's not a hell of a lot. Like it exists on the skin, but it can get into the fruit. Rotundone is probably the key sort of one that they're concerned about. And another one, name escapes me at the moment, but guarcol is probably the big one. And so, there's not a lot you could do. Maybe you could develop a yeast that would, preference certain glycosides that would create certain aromas. But we're really talking about the up end of sort of commercial winemaking. The rule of thumb is if you fear, you can get your grapes tested, which so the testing is improved and the turnaround time of testing is improved to less than 24 hours. But if you fear it, then just put little skin contact on it, make rosé.
Yeah. Just spend the money to hand pick it and then whole bunch press.
Yep. Don't machine harvest.
No machine harvesting is like, if there's smoke around, just don't even do it. Just invest the cost, raise the prices, make some rosés, like smokier, make some fun stuff. Fuck around.
Steer into the skid.
Lean into the skid. Have some fun.
We did some smoke taint wine.
Was that a Syrah?
It was Syrah
several years ago?
Pinot Gris.
And it looked fine for a while, and then it didn't. Yeah. And then it was pretty obvious.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I remember working in the bar at the time, the way that we dealt with that smoke-tainted wine was try and convince people that it was a feature, not a fault.
We turned some into vermouth. That worked.
Yeah, that worked.
Yeah, we did a bunch of stuff with that wine. Like a lot of stuff, like that hit the market, and then we got to a point where they're like, "Hey, it's not being accepted," and so we took it back. But you live and you learn.
Yeah, clean up around your vineyards is the main thing. Essentially, avoid the
keep the grass
and hope the government invests in it as well. Because it's not just around the vineyards; it's a lot more than that.
Tricky stuff. At Elamir, g'day Elamir. I got a wine fridge and was thinking about storing some wines to consume in 5 or 10 years from now. It would be nice to talk about what wines make a good candidate that is cheaper now with good potential to become a gem if you store it.
The ones that I'm focusing on at the moment are like Altalanghe and like Valtellina. And that's like, if I'm guessing your budget isn't sky high, but like
No.
if it's up there to get into the premium range, I'd be investing in Chiavannesca from Valtellina because it's sort of like cheaper Barolo, and and it'll appreciate in price, and it's like something high tannin. I don't necessarily also drink like a lot of wines that are 10 years old.
No?
Not really. No, I just don't. It's not really the culture in Australia. Not anymore anyway. Coonawarra Cabernet.
Coonawarra Cabernet is the one because the problem with that Coonawarra Cabernet is 5 to 10 years isn't enough.
Yeah.
Like you need more.
It also depends what we're talking about in terms of cheap and out good potential to become a gem if you store it. Like we're not if we're talking about resale value.
Yeah,
then
yeah,
you
a bit different.
Then
Yeah.
you're trying to pick which winery is going to be relevant and popping in 10 to 15 years time, because then you can be like, oh, do you want to try some of their 2020 stuff?
Yeah.
If you're just talking about wines that have, Aussie reds, I've got to admit, like the shit that Dad pulls out of his cellar that's randomly 10 years old, if it's had enough,
Looks good.
looks
really
really
good.
Yeah,
good.
no, I think
Yeah.
like I'd say like Langhorne Malbec would be one. To
Yeah.
Langhorne
Malbec's
because
another-
it's a bit of a sleeper, and that might have a bit of resurgence in 10 years. Again, you're trying to predict the future if you're looking for high resale value. But the only things with high resale value are highly sought after wines, and unless you're trying to predict who's going to be the next one of those, which like don't do that. It's a bad investment.
No, it's like trying to make money investing in like cars, like trying to predict which car's going to be a classic. There's shoots and ladders. It's tough things to try and pull off.
Clare Riesling.
I think Clare
Eden
Riesling's a safe bet.
10-year age.
Yep,
Yeah.
100%. Finger Lakes Riesling, like if you're not in Australia, is another shout. Argentinian most things. Argentinian Malbec is very impressive.
Yeah, some Patagonian
Patagonian
Pinot, I think would be
Pinot
probably the one that I think
really
would be cool.
good.
There's a lot of producers there starting to get some cred, so I'd be investing there.
Yeah. What about
Canary Islands might be
Canary
interesting
Islands.
because now they've got phylloxera, so that's going to really challenge that region. So
Yes.
yeah, get some Enavenate and sit on it for 10 years. It's going to be a bit more premium, but if you're looking for something that might be really scarce, because those vineyards could be gone.
And they'll need to replant them.
Yeah,
so
there
on,
might be
not
a
on
gap.
Rome roots.
So that could be good. Yeah, pre-phylloxera Enavenate could be a really
Sought after. Yeah.
thing. So things like that. Maybe some Yarra stuff as well. So there's a lot of things.
Cabernets.
Yeah.
Macedon Cabernet. Very impressive.
Oh, buy some of that Josh Cooper Red Bank Cabernet that he's making because that vineyard's getting, I think, mothballed as well. Yeah, wow. So he deft hand making some really historic 1970s vines Cabernets. So I think it'd be really cool. There's a few things out there, but yeah, like cheaper now. It depends what you think about cheaper. But if you're looking for bargains, like that will improve in a general sense, I think just Riesling, Semillon.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Semillon, Hunter Sem for sure.
Yeah.
Like the Riesling, like the $25.99 Rieslings that you find, like
Just buy a case and forget about it.
Yeah, they're really good. They punch hard.
Yeah, it's a shout. The other thing that I've just been tucking away in the cellar over the last few years is anytime I go to a winery that's just got this reputation of making like big reds, I'll just buy whatever their current back vintage stuff is from a year or two ago and be like, this is going to be better in 10 years time, and I'll appreciate the fact that I've got it in 10 years time. And I think for me, the aim isn't to buy it's not to buy a wine that's going to be worth $300 in 10 years' time. It's to buy something for $20 that's going to be drinking like it's $100.
Yeah, for whatever random reason, is like you've cooked a really nice meal. It's like, what should we have with this? And you just go, oh, this is going to be awesome, and then it is.
Yeah,
like, that's what you should be buying those kinds of wines for.
Yeah, and again, it's that sense of it's the sense of occasion that you get out of it, where it's like this has been tucked away for 10 years. Like I just put it's not going to be an incredible wine, but a wine that I'm very excited to drink in 10 years' time is it's made by Forage Supply Co. It's called The Beard. It's Justin Westhoff's wine, and he signed it for my 30th birthday, and I'm like, hell yeah! In 10 years' time, that's going to be really
on your
cool.
40th, it's going to be huge.
It's going to be
Just
massive.
thinking in Europe, because I'm not too sure where the comments from, but I mean German Riesling. It's so cheap. It's so cheap
like
in reference to everything else around.
Pound, yeah,
like €12 to €19 gets you a really long way.
Find an interesting producer that's like on the up and up.
Vollenweiders would be like right there in terms of like Middle Moselle.
Yeah.
Big shout out to them.
Yeah, also experiment with it, which kind of leads nicely into this next question from Riley. G'day, Riley. How much stuff do you keep in reserve from a vintage at Unico Zello? And do you ever plan on doing a back catalogue release as packs or singles, inspired by that review of the 2021 Pastafarian that came out recently?
Well, that was in the UK, and that's current release over there.
That's current release over there.
Because again, people bought a lot of wine at a certain period, and the market fell, so there's a lot of slower selling stuff.
Which for some wines has actually been great.
Dude,
some wines are awesome.
I was in Atlanta selling 2022 origami, and it was hands down the best wine. It was fucking unreal. It was so cool. The answer as far as how much do we keep depends on the wine. Some wines we don't keep any of because it's built to just be made, drunk fresh, get it out. It's not going to improve between 2 and 5 years. Maybe a couple as a reference point. But then certain wines we'll keep 5 to 10 cases of.
Yeah, and we've got museum stock of a lot of the wines. Where
we'll keep a dozen or 2 dozen.
5 to 6 bottles. But and that's sort of the really interesting thing for me is drinking things like 2015 Alluvium these days and having it just be really impressive.
In Germany recently, there was a couple of wineries where Donhoff was awesome for this, where you'd sit down and they would open you, we're going to go from the dry to the sweet, and we're going to go from the cheap to the expensive. But then along the way, it'll be do you want to compare this to something that's 15 years old? And you're I'm not going to say no. She's like, cool, awesome. So she'd just go down and sell it, then come up, and then, Anna was just opening up all sorts of different stuff. And I was like, is this normal? Is it because we're trading? No, she was showing it to anyone that had booked in that day. And she's like, this is what I love doing here. It's I reckon if you've traveled all the way out to the estate, I'm going to show you stuff that you're never going to be able to see anywhere else.
Yeah.
And I thought that it actually made me, in the moment, you hear about it and you're like, oh yeah, that's not really going to matter. But in the moment, I was like, wow, the wine has pedigree. I kind of walked away from that going, what pedigree that wine has, because it showcases the ability to mature so gracefully. And you know what? She made a point of showing the shit vintages and talking about all the shitty things that happened that vintage and how she was impressed with how it was looking despite that. So
time heals all wounds.
Well, it was just also it was a massive credibility move where she was like, I'm not going to wax lyrical. Let's just look at some old shit and we can talk about it and we can have a conversation. That's the beauty about wine. I was like, man, that's something I think when we open Unico, we'll end up doing. We'll probably keep, for things like Birdwood, hallmark wines. I wish I could have more, say, 2015 Alluvium, because because
that wine looks insane.
Wow.
It looks insane.
No one thought.
A couple of people have seen it and they've been it's great.
Yeah.
But we've only got a couple of bottles left.
Yeah. Now only a couple of bottles.
Yeah, it is. And it would also be, in that instance where you're able to show wines from the last 10 years to people that come out to the cellar door. It's not a bad little marketing thing as well. If you've got these wines that are from this long ago, to be able to be not only buy a couple of bottles for you to drink, in the next couple of whiles, but buy a carton and keep it for this long, because then you can have wines that taste like this in 10 years' time, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I do think that that's a very, especially for a business such as ours that has, bottle shock integrated into it, and we're so wine education-y. I think having access to some back vintages over the next 5-10 years will be a really interesting thing to be able to showcase out at the Unico cellar door. So not a bad shout. I reckon we might keep doing it a little bit. And then also you've got wines like Delta Blue that's from 2022 and just looking fantastic.
Oh, yeah, and that's a wine we made a lot of, and it every single week it goes by, it just gets better and better and better and better. And
better.
Old red.
So cool.
It's one of those wines that at certain times we've been we've got so much Delta Blue. I can guarantee you at some point we're going to be man, if only we just had a little bit more
Delta Blue. It wouldn't be the first time that's happened.
Yeah, just
wouldn't be the first time.
A bit longer. Yeah. Got the last couple of questions here. It's a two-parter. I can answer the first one solo, and then you guys can hop in on the next one. This is from Camelot Exists, one of our favorite commenters.
Yeah,
that
top contributors.
Top dude.
2 questions. First question: Henry seems taller these days. Has he changed his diet, or is he wearing platforms? It's actually really perceptible of you. I have recently started wearing these work boots a lot more to work, so these actually do have a little bit of a heel in them. So the fact
you've also gotten thinner. So
it stretches out, and the the angles of the cameras have changed. I haven't changed my diet, but genuinely, I reckon I am probably an inch taller on average in these tasting videos. And
I also think we've raised the desk, and that might also be doing some stuff as well.
Could be. But the fact that you've noticed that is one of the most perceptive things, because I reckon it is genuinely the difference between wearing a pair of Nike Dunks and wearing a pair of work boots that have a little bit of a heel in them. So Great shout. I am slightly taller. Finally, an actual question for you guys. There seem to be many indigenous Eastern European varieties. What are the ones that you would look out for?
Eastern European varieties.
I just haven't had enough, honestly.
Anything from Hungary.
Yeah. But
Eastern European.
There's heaps. Like, unfortunately, we're in Australia, and we just don't see enough of this stuff.
Cazzatelli would be the Australian Cazzatelli would be the main one.
Yeah, and you got like Saperavi and stuff like that, which a lot of people have probably heard of, and that's probably the most notable one, the red stuff. And then like you got the Georgian things. I honestly have just not had or seen enough of this stuff, to be perfectly frank, to give a really good, meaningful answer. It is just something that I don't drink heaps of, or have the ability to drink heaps of.
As far eastern to European would be like the ones that are of note at the moment would be Greece, which isn't really, I wouldn't class as Eastern European.
It's getting there. It's like central.
It's pretty central.
Really Eastern European. Some of the ones coming out of China are pretty.
Marcelan's looking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it's all relative. Like East,
but like Georgia's probably as east as you could possibly get. And I'm sure I know there's winemaking in Armenia.
I've got a friend of mine in Georgia right now. I'll ask him when he gets back, and I'll get back to you.
Yeah. Tell you what, we'll put that.
That's a good question.
That is a really good question.
Beyond what we're seeing at the moment.
We are just asking people that are not well traveled enough. You know, how about GoFundMe, get us a trip to fucking Eastern Europe.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Us Bottle Shock in Georgia. There is actually, I think, I'm pretty confident there's a wine bar called Bottle Shock in Georgia.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, there is. Yes.
We
got sent it.
Is it
Spilsy?
Spilsy?
I don't know how to pronounce. Again,
Forgive
pronunciation.
me, butchering it. But the main sort of wine town, I think it could be the capital, maybe, of Georgia, is a wine bar called Bottle Shock. So that would be pretty fun to be part of.
A very sensible place for us to go and visit. I think that just makes a lot of sense on the way we spend the company's money. We need to go to Bottle Shop.
It will only have to be crowdfunded.
Yeah,
it will have to be crowdfunded.
And that is not how we're ending the podcast. We're not begging for money. What we're saying is we don't know the answer to that. But that's actually the first time that I've asked either of you a wine question in a very long time that I've gotten it. I'm not sure. So we'll do a bit of research, and the next time we come back...
Well, it's just like we could go research the varieties, but it's like, as far as researching the tasting, it's like, I don't know who's importing them.
There's not a lot of hunger.
Yeah. And a lot of those producers we found from Hungary and Slovenia and things like that are varieties that we'd heard of. So like Austrian varieties like Zweigelt and Blaufränkisch and Cellaring have made their way east. Robola Gialla, things like that on the fringes of Italy and Austria have made their way to the east.
Yeah.
But
in terms of indigenous Eastern European grapes, not something
that's not our strong suit.
Not our strong suit. Oh, well, that's a fun way to end up a Q&A with a, sorry, don't know.
A little, ending with a dull thud.
Not going to lie, that's on the producer of the podcast and me for putting them in that order. I thought it was going to be a really interesting way to go out, but I didn't even consider the fact that was going to be something. I am taller, though. It's because of the shoes. Very well noticed.
Or we're just shrinking.
No, I don't think it's that, man. I don't think it's that. It's got to be
we're not that old yet.
Something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I've just turned 30, so I am officially as tall as I'm going to get. It's all downhill from here, I'd say. I'm going to start getting on the lifts. Cheers, fellas. Thank you very much for another Bottle Expected episode. Guys, thank you so much for the questions. We'll be doing this again at some point in the future. Maybe this could be a... on route in America podcast. We could do a little special AMA
that could be fun.
On the road in the States.
That would be fun.
On the road again.
That'd be fun.
Well, this will probably not go out before we're on the road.
Oh, we can make a name. We can make a name, whether or not we edit it in time.
Yeah, exactly. Or I could just cut this part out. Anyway, cheers, gang.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye.